Okay, Landon, we're taking a look here at the paddling when we're doing the stationary canoe, looking at technique and just kind of what's happening through the water here. I'm not basing my theory just off of this. After watching the race, like we were saying, your stroke length stayed extremely long, which is good, but for some reason everyone else looks short, and I think it's because your paddle may have been slipping through the water while everyone else is kind of just grabbing in, and they don't have quite as much of a pull as you do through here. So going through here, I want to just say, first of all, your technique looks really, really solid. You and I have actually very, very similar techniques when I looked at this video. You got yourself on the left, I'm on the right here. So we're going to go through here and then shoot through a couple of things here frame by frame. So first of all, this is when the paddle is fully buried. So really good angle here. Going through in the front. For me, a little bit over here, so I could probably get a little bit more. One thing I do want to point out is this angle here. So shoulder to shoulder, your top shoulder to your bottom shoulder, and then down to your down your torso, down to your hips. So yours is really, really good. You've got your bottom shoulder is pulled forward, your back shoulder, your top shoulder is pulled back a lot, which is really good. So like to see that twist, which is good. Coming through the stroke itself, so we start pulling. I think my frames might be a little bit in front of yours, but so we'll go through. And so I wanted to point something out here. So like for me and LaBranch, and I'm not saying that it's it's like, okay, mate, you're stronger than us, but like looking at the amount of cavitation that we have over here, try to take a look at this part right here. So looking at the cavitation that's building up in front of your paddle. So what's happening is you're starting to pull or something, or you're starting to pull up. So that way this cavitation all around this area here, this big area right over here is starting to build. Whereas, like if you look at the branch, you look at the branches one, he doesn't quite have as much. And then for mine, I got a little bit of action going on over there. So once we go through the stroke though, take a look at all of that. See all this white water that's building up right over here. Big white water that's building up. I'm trying like nut sacks and balls over here. So going through, and then especially towards the end, if you can kind of take a look at that. So we'll go through this again. So coming through, exiting, and then you got that cavitation there. So it's coming through. Let's take a look at the next stroke here. So again, really good angle, fully buried, angles in the front, really good, and then pulling through. Okay, so now you're fully buried, I'm fully buried over here. All right. So once we start pulling, for some reason, I don't know what it is, whether you're starting to pull before the paddle gets buried, but I start to see a really big cavitation start to build up in the front here. So it comes up through there and then starts to develop, and then coming through the back all the way through. So I think like this here it's an emphasized version of what we would do out in the open ocean. Of course, when you're paddling through, the water is moving, so you can't quite see what's happening to the catch. But this exercise, this stationary canoe exercise, is meant to be that it's like, hey, you should have that same amount of pressure throughout the end here. So see where my paddle is over here. I've got the same amount of pressure here as I did up in the front. So for here, there's definitely less pressure on your paddle here than it was up here. So what's happening is you've still got a lot of power and a lot of speed going through, a lot of length. And so I think what's happening somewhere in the middle here is that it's slipping through. So coming through, and then I'll show you one that was in the open ocean. I think I've got one of you stroking in the open ocean here. So again, coming through, looks really good. So let me close this out here. Let's close my guy. Don't want to save that, and let's go through. So you can kind of see the cavitation there going through. what's going on here? Okay, what the hell? Who's watching the camera? Okay, sorry, let me skip through. Let's go to, you can't really see on that side. So, what the hell? There we go. There we go. Okay, so a little bit better on this side. So, oh, there we go. Okay. So, I don't know if maybe I said, see, there's still some cavitation, right? So you still got some cavitation in the front, and then towards the back, it's pretty significant towards the back. So let me pull up another one here, just so you can kind of see. I know that we don't get to see these very often. I get to tweak on these all the time, but you guys don't quite get to see it as often. And I saw one, especially when you got tired. So this is going into Pinky's Canal, and after we just did a bunch of sprints on the outside coming into the canal here. So it looks really good, honestly. So this is actually a perfect one because we're probably a little tired and coming through. I know it's a little choppy. All right, so let's go frame by frame. All right, so fully buried. And so a little different on this one, your top shoulder is kind of pushing forward. So if we take a look here, so from the full on reach, right? So you got, this is your reach out and then fully buried. And so watch your top shoulder, okay? So your top shoulder is actually coming across a little bit. So from here, and then your top shoulder is all the way forward now. So now you got a totally different angle and your paddle is fully buried. Different from the other one, your top shoulder doesn't start pushing down until your paddle is fully buried. So I think that's what happens possibly when you get tired, is you start to rotate, you over rotate from the beginning. And so now your rotation is done, but actually very similar to Joe. I was telling Joe is that what's happening is he's starting to rotate. So right here, so from here down to 1, 2, 3, and then rotate. See that shoulder start to rotate, but your paddle actually isn't in the water yet. Okay, so we shouldn't start pulling until the paddle is here. But because your top shoulder is already rotated, you miss out on that rotation. All of that power from the rotation you're losing. So from here down to the end of the stroke, all you have left over is to sit back up. So what's happening is so you twist a little bit and then you're done. Right there, your rotation is done, and then all you can do from there is sit up. Okay, so go through it again. And if it doesn't make sense, I apologize. So let me try. I'll try to send out another video too. So again, so here, back shoulder is fully reached out, looks really good. Back shoulder is pulled back, bottom shoulder is pulled forward, which is good. And then what's happening is you're rotating, rotate, top shoulder's coming up, and now your paddle is fully submerged. But see how much your top shoulder has pushed forward, right? So let me go back to the other one here. So let's take a look at the second stroke. Let's take a look at the second stroke here. Okay, so here we go where you're set up, fully set up. Your top shoulder is back here, bottom shoulder is at the front, and then fully buried. But you see how that top shoulder is still cocked back. It's still cocked back. It hasn't pushed forward yet. It hasn't pushed forward yet. And then right there, now you're fully buried in the water. And then what's happening with that top shoulder is now you can start rotating. See that? See how the top shoulder is starting to push forward at the same time. It's simultaneous as you start to sit up. Okay? So in this video here, you are fresh. Okay? So you're super fresh in this video. You're paddling super well. A little bit of cavitation there, but on that top shoulder, so we'll go back to the other one. So again, top shoulder's pulled back. This is when you're set up. Fully submerged is right here, but you see that top shoulder is still twisted, right? So let us do this. Bush. This program is freaking awesome. Boom. Okay. Let's set you up here. Oops. Okay, so let's go here like this. All right. So fully set up. Okay, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good so far. And then what happens here is your top shoulder is starting to come down, and now you're fully buried. See that difference there? So over here, super solid, really good twist, and then you can start pulling. And so what we'll do is we'll go through, they're different frame rates. So I top one here. Anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. And then so you got two things here. So you got the cavitation here, and then once you get tired, that the one on your right side, so this video over here, once you get tired, your rotation starts a little too early. So let's go again, check it out. So good rotation here, and then you start to push that top shoulder forward, pushing that top shoulder forward, and now you're fully submerged. So you're losing out a little bit on that power, and I think that's what's making you lose that catch, especially when you're picking up and surfing. So take a look at this. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you want to see more stuff, just shoot me a text. Maybe I can like post like an entire video so you can kind of see it. But yeah. So I mean, like you can't even tell. So if you take a look at this, it's like, man, I can't even tell what's going on. Like it looks perfect, but it's just like the frame by frame, right? So let's take a look. So here, and then fully set up, and then you start to rotate, and now you're fully submerged. So a little bit different from the other one. Anyway, I'll see you later. Let me know if you have questions.